This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
And you're listening to the Krypton Report.
And you're listening to Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's the Krypton Report!
The All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
Welcome to the Krypton Report. It is I, the Superman in blue, champion of the innocent, along with the muscle to my might, Superman red, champion to all those who need it. James, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going well, man. We're back, between, as everybody who listens to this podcast probably knows, James and I both have children who are pretty, they're young. Mine are younger than his. And sometimes children don't go to bed. And sometimes they stay up. And that keeps us very busy. Very busy. So sometimes I feel like James and I are sneaking away to talk. We're sneaking away to do this podcast for you fine people. So just remember that. Next time you're listening, you're like, man, what do these guys do all the time? We have to literally sneak from our children to do this for you.
Yeah. I can't do this until after I put my kids to bed.
And sometimes people know. You'll hear my kids in the background. But right now, they're actually laying down. But hey, we're going to jump into this, and we're going to talk about Supergirl, Season 5, Episode 3. And his new cool thing, because James is awesome, James is going to break it down for us and give us a quick summary. So take it away, Mr. James.
Supergirl, Season 5, Episode 3, Blurred Lines. Jean requests Nia's help in going deeper into his past, which reveals that he used his telepathy to erase his brother Malefic from his father's memory, as his father blames himself for Malefic's isolation due to his unstable power. Malefic then attacks Kelly by posing as a man named Pete Andrews, but gets away after a confrontation with Jean. Meanwhile, Kara, Alex, and James track down an alien who has the ability to shoot webs. They find the culprit in former Special Ops Commander Carolyn O'Connor, who is possessed by the spider-like Aura-fashioned symbiotes. Alex uses a device to suck off the alien parasite from Caroline. However, she is later mysteriously killed by an unknown shadow. Lena asks Kara to steal Lex's childhood journal, which is stored in a federal facility. Nia confronts Brainy about their relationship.
All right, that's good. You had some more details in there I didn't even think about. But we finally, we have been calling him Malefic because that's how we've heard it in other forms and how I've read it. But they've kind of pushed it together as one word as Malefic. And that's what we'll use because I feel like it's kind of like the Kara kind of thing,
Yeah, if they're going to call him Malefic, then we might as well go with Malefic. Yeah. Even though his comic persona is Malefic.
Kind of like Jean Jones, where they call him John Jones.
Yeah, they have the apostrophes in different places to break the words up.
Marin, but then Myron.
Yeah, so and McGann, and they call her Megan.
Yep, Megan. Hello, Megan. Which, I wouldn't mind if she showed back up.
Right.
I get tired when characters leave.
She hasn't been around since season 2.
Yeah, the characters leave for a reason, and then they never come back. So this kind of kills me. But, yeah.
So let me put this out there right now. Okay. We have this alien parasite in the form of spider tattoos. Okay. When the spider crawled out of the woman, came 3D up and then jumped on the guy and entered into his chest through his heart, I was like, oh my God. 'Cause I am arachnophobic. I was watching, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark the other night,
Yeah.
with Ashley, and the red spot with the spiders that come out of her face. I didn't even watch that. As soon as the spider started to, I had the pillow the blanket in my hand, ready to cover my face like a child when those were coming out. But so yeah, that was like that was cringeworthy. But the part that I have a nitpick with here is, but she webs Kara to a wall. There's no wall on Earth that could stop her. So even though she hits the wall, she can literally just like pull the wall down with her hands, with her arms. Like she's not stuck, but they act like she was stuck. There's no wall that she could be attached to on Earth that would keep her stuck there just by webbing.
You know, I feel okay. So I've been thinking about this so far this season. This isn't a spoiler or anything. This is just kind of a. I feel like Kara's almost taking a back seat in this season. Like, instead of her being the focus, the main characters, like we've divided it up into like a 3-part story, where we're following Brainy and Nia. We're following John and Kara, and then we're getting like Alex stuff. Like, I feel like right now. And the way this episode ends with Jimmy, I feel like we've gotten us too large of a supporting cast.
Yeah, well, Jimmy's going to be gone,
right? And I
this
feel like
season.
This episode kind of sets up for him being gone. But kind of spoilers ahead for the episode we're talking about. But you know what I'm saying? I feel like her cast has bubbled so much that we've lost our focus of so much of just her.
Yeah.
You know, almost like, you know, her storyline, her is kind of just in the background, and it's like, oh, well, we'll do this because it's Supergirl, but they're downplaying her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely not the primary focus. I mean, you know, she's still involved in the central plot, and she's still the hero, but of the story. But you know, so far this season, though, every episode has been really good in bringing everybody's plot together. You know what I mean? Most of the time, all of the plots feed into the main plot of the episode. So it hasn't been a whole lot of filler for just for the hell of it, you know, basically, except for Nia and Brainy. But, you know, they got to have their CW romantic stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's always romantic tension, dramatic tension from somebody. They got to have their drama.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll see how that plays out, you know. But that's nor here nor there at the moment. But we will see how that goes. I mean, this episode to me, you know, it works. You know, I feel like it's the episode that's really setting things up for, like you said, for what's to come.
Yeah. Well, you know, it
plays into Alex's larger character story.
Right. It does help to push forward that Malefic is
powerful,
is powerful and is a threat. You know, we got a guest appearance from Sean Astin in this episode.
Did that not like blow you away?
Yeah, I was like, whoa. Like when was Sean Astin on? Like, he's on a CW show.
I'm like, was he just like, hey guys, I'm in town, like big fan of, you know, Supergirl and the CW. You mind if I just swing by for like a day or two and do some work?
Right.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah. I mean, I felt like this happened. Like, I mean, okay. Now I could be wrong. I don't remember. if it's his father or stepfather. Because I remember him talking about it, but it's been so long and I'm not perfect. I am human. Was an actor. Okay.
His father, John Astin, was Gomez in the 60s Addams Family show.
But do you know what else he was? The second Riddler on Batman 66.
Oh, really?
When Frank Gorshin wasn't there. Exactly. So, was not sure if you knew that or not.
No, I did not.
But
That's cool.
I just couldn't remember if John Astin was his biological dad or stepdad. I just remember him talking about it.
Yeah, that I'm not 100% on.
But I just thought that was cool, kind of bringing it back around, you know. I just kind of wish now that if they were going to, you know, they're going to bring in Sean Astin, maybe, I don't know, kind of wait and do something a little bit bigger. You know, maybe a couple more photo lines.
Right.
But no, it was cool. I liked the way he got in there using a picture of friends and stuff that Kelly had that was able to adapt and get in to use the brain mapping technology.
Right. She has the Q waves, which was able to reset his brain and start his inception powers again. He can control minds. He can
make people do what he wants them to do.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of cool, though, how they get linked in that section, and then now she's a threat because she can identify him. She has a connection with him or something. She can see him even when he's transformed.
Yeah, and what's funny is I never really thought about the power to incept not being a Martian power. You know, I always thought like they could read your mind and make you do stuff, but not really, you know?
Right.
So that kind of makes Malefic interesting. And that's kind of what the big thing is, you know, he has this ability and he was different, and that's kind of why he got pushed out and eventually helped the white Martians fight the green Martians. So I don't know, very, very interesting, you know. You know, this episode saw more of the just overall of what kind of like what Lean is up to. She needs these Q waves. You know, Malefic, every person that he's taken a form of, it's been kind of neat because it's kind of like, who is Malefic? Because he you know, like Jean has his Hank Henshaw form that he always kind of returns to. But Malefic doesn't have that form yet.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't have one human form that he resides in.
So I'm kind of like, oh, okay. Maybe that's I don't know. Maybe that's good. Maybe it's bad. I mean, it's definitely good for budget, especially if they use people they just have in the background. But we see that Kelly is linked, can see him, and basically they have to send Kelly away with Jimmy so that she's not hurt. And I feel like out of everybody on the show, like Alex has the quickest, like, romantic relationships. They like come quickly and she falls hard.
Right.
You know, it's just interesting. You know, like Cars like had her big Mon-El thing that's gone, but for some reason Alex is just like, boom, I'm in love with everyone I come in a relationship with.
Pretty much.
I guess my thing too is just watching some of this. I get tired of like these characters pop in, they're a huge impact on a season, and then they're just gone. Like Sam. But there's been nothing about what happened with Sam and Ruby since they left. And they were a huge deal. You know, I was just like, man, It's almost like they're trying not to like mention a lot of stuff from the previous season. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot does carry over from season to season. I mean, one thing that Sam and Ruby, that's kind of messed up though, just because, I mean, yeah, she was a bad guy of the season, which we usually don't hear much about, or, well, I mean, they discuss them or they talk about them, but we usually don't see them much again.
Yeah.
After the season, which is fine, but also she was a friend. You know, she was a friend of everybody, and you know, she was the bad guy, but then they saved her. You know what I mean?
Right. Like,
and then boom, that's it.
So but I'm just, spitballing.
She said, "Screw you guys, I'm going home."
Because my thing is, above all else, is like, I like the
lose your train of thought.
Yes. I like the work with John. Sorry, Sayla's awake now, yelling into my monitor. So
I do hear her. I do hear her a little bit.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
She's awake, and that's why I was just kind of like, she's okay. But what I was saying is, I like the story with Jean. I always am a sucker for. I think Jean is a very strong character, and I'm always a sucker for anything they do with him and his family. Like I said, how many times that they could have done a whole show, a Martian Manhunter show called Me and My Dad, Me and My Martian Dad, and then done this
Me and My Martian Dad,
and then done the Malefic story and that. Like I find his acting compelling. And
right, yeah, David Harewood, I believe, right?
Yep.
Is
Harewood.
yeah,
because he's British. It's the A has the Harwood to it or not.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, he's really, he's really good, and I think playing a telepath character, that he's acting very much like an empath, like feeling everything so much stronger. Like when he's hurting emotionally, when he feels pain from other people's minds and from his own and stuff, like he's acting the hell out of it.
But this episode was cool. I feel like it had a lot of beats, but just not a lot happened.
Right. Well, we're seeing what's going on here. The interesting thing is the Monitor brought Malefic in. So, but beyond that, we haven't had any real connection to Crisis so far this season.
That's what I was going to start mentioning with each episode, is there's nothing that lingers back to Crisis. And I feel like that's because right now so much of the Crisis is centered on Earth 1, because that's where Barry is and Oliver is at the moment. Spoilers for other shows, but Oliver was on Earth 2 and now he's not. So
yeah, for what I've seen, being behind on an episode or two right now, Tuesday nights, Flash and Arrow, it's like Crisis night. Those are the two shows connected most heavily to Crisis coming up.
Which makes sense, because technically Black Lightning and Supergirl on different Earths and Batwoman's timeline, she's not to them yet.
Yeah, she's still currently before Elseworlds.
Yep.
Which, however, that'll fit in, like how many episodes of her show will it be before
I think
Elseworlds is, and
it's
then
8 because I think the storyline they're supposed to wrap up is right before her Crisis episode, and then it jumps to her Crisis episode, which is now current time. So you would have the first part of her season, the Elseworlds episode, then Crisis, if you're doing it linear.
So I mean, linear. They would probably jump it, a handful of months. Like this story would go up, and then basically it would be Elseworlds, and then we got like a handful of months of a time jump or something into her Crisis episode, and we'll go forward from there. Not necessarily a full year, like every show in between seasons, typically a few months, Sometimes they pick up right away, but if they do, the next episode, they're like, oh, well, now a couple of months has passed, and this is what we're doing now.
Exactly. But so that wraps up Supergirl Season 5, Episode 3. Now we're going to jump to news, because we got some news.
News.
All right, so to kind of slither it in there, first of all, 1, Krypton is still canceled. 2, so we haven't touched on this, but supposedly there's talk that J.J. Abrams might be developing the reboot of Superman. We haven't really talked on this yet, but we kind of been meaning to talk about it. You know what? I'm just going to say it's exhausting, sometimes. All this stuff. If they want to reboot Superman again and J.J. Abrams is behind it now, okay. As long as he doesn't try to do his flyby script, I feel like where J.J. is now, we would get a good Superman just because I feel like, much like he did with The Force Awakens, he knows how to play it safe, play to the strengths, play the greatest hits of what people want to see. Compared to what he would have done had he gotten to do Flyby, or his script had been done. And that's really all I'm going to say about that for now. Comments, James?
I don't want I don't want a full reboot. I don't want another actor in the role. If we get it, of course I'm going to see it and see how it goes.
It's not about what we want. It's what they're going to give us.
I know. I don't think that it should be like a full on reboot, maybe some kind of like requel, like a soft reboot, where we don't get the origin story, but we get another story, and it's, and they just, use what will work from the past and, create a good, satisfying story moving forward, and, meet somewhere in the middle between, say Man of Steel and Superman the movie. Meet somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? Don't try to be Superman Returns. And, even though I love Man of Steel and I love Zack Snyder and the action and everything, it's so great. I want a little blend of both in a Superman movie. Meet in the middle.
Right, exactly.
So, and I want Cavill back in the role. He's great. He really is. And off topic, but I can't wait till December 20th to check out The Witcher.
Yeah, me too. Even though one scene kind of just made me go, oh, man. But, oh well. Thus is life. And I agree. And I feel like we're just on that path where, I'm going to kind of take what they give me, which brings us to our next big part of the news. So, we know that Arrow is ending. And supposedly we're going to get a show called The Green Arrow and the Canaries, which I'll be honest, is the least exciting DC show, in my opinion, right now. that I'm not excited to watch.
Right.
One, because I feel like we've exhausted so many storylines. Two, I mean, we've had 4 Canaries. Black Siren is now technically a Canary. We had the White Canary, who was originally the Black Canary. Then we had Laurel, the Black Canary. And then we had Dinah, the Black Canary. If they had done this kind of show back during, like, a Season 2 Arrow spinoff, when Sarah first got there and had Huntress and done more of a Birds of Prey thing, yes, but, like, this season with Arrow, it's killing me because I don't care about the flash forwards. I don't care about the characters of the future. You're just giving me less of what I actually want in this show.
Right.
So that's one spinoff. The other one was announced. Are you ready? Are we ready? Are we ready?
Let's say, which one are we talking about? The CW one?
Yes.
Yes, I am ready.
We're supposed to be getting a developed of a Superman series called Superman and Lois with Tyler Hoechlin and
Bitsy Tulloch.
And if they don't do that series, and then I swear right now I'm telling you, bring in her husband, David, cannot pronounce his last name, as Batman. That's who should be Bruce Wayne on the CW.
Is that the guy who played on Grimm?
Yes.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Tell me who would not be
I
awesome as a CW Batman.
Yeah, I could deal with that. I liked him on Grimm, and he's done very well on A Million Little Things.
Even if it's just like a 1-episode, 2-episode thing with Batwoman, whatever. Just throwing that out there again. But no, so they're going to get their own series, supposedly. It's in development, which is awesome. We don't know what it'll spin out of Crisis, if it'll be a before and after, or what type of series we would look at for this. Some people look at this as confirmation that he's not going to die during Crisis. I just say, okay, we'll see, because, he could die and then, Supergirl flies around the earth, spins it backwards. Who knows? But
Tyler Hoechlin has posted on social media about the story that they have to tell and stuff like that, and he does mention like being a super parent and stuff like that. So,
right, which I think is the wise move to do with this character. Kind of making this the series in a way like a spiritual sequel. We'll use that term. A spiritual sequel to Lois and Clark. Because if it's going to be called Superman and Lois, kind of similar play in the wordage. But you know how like Lois and Clark ended, where they were going to, basically a baby was dropped off at their doorstep. And in this case, they're going to have a baby. So I think it's the right progression for the character. It's Lois and Clark farther into their relationship, and with a new dynamic that's never really been explored in live action. So why not make that the show? And I'm cool with that. Like, I'm excited for that. My thing is, it's going to be a 22-episode series or like a limited series.
Right. Well, it is a short. The story of Superman being a father is new.
Yes.
It came about through the end of the New 52, and it's strong in Reboot. A lot of the Superman in action stories, and John Kent was always around. Superboy was always around and involved, and then him and Robin had their own books and Super Sons. So definitely a newer set of stories that can be told, and a lot of freedom because they're such a young character when it comes to the comic books, and how much time that we've had with him
Right, because honestly, he's born in Convergence, Superman issue 2. And then the next time we see him, we jump and he's a boy. A little boy.
He's 10 years old.
So that gives a lot of time, and it's something fun to play around with for the character, for the other characters, for Lois and for Clark. It gives us a new angle. But the hard part is Supergirl has mined so much of the villain and stuff aspect of Superman's story. What would be his story? Since so much do we ask ourselves, where's Superman? What's Superman up to? Why Supergirl's doing something? What will this show have?
I haven't done too much of that.
We've all done that, James. we do it all the time. 'Cause they had to find ways to write him out so he's not around for her show or what's going on. So it just kind of a thought of what would they do and where would they take the show.
That's for general audience's sake. You know what I mean? To throw in something here or there. Why isn't Superman around? As comic book fans, we know that he's doing his own thing. He's saving the world all on his, all by himself when things are happening. So like you can't have a show called Supergirl where your main character has to always be bailed out by her cousin.
Right.
She has to stand on her own 2 feet. Otherwise your show doesn't work.
Exactly.
And so just, to have the nods to him and to have him show up once in a while, I think is great. Other than that, out of sight, out of mind, I could honestly care less when I'm like, I'm not like, oh, when's Superman going to come and save her? Like, well, she has to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's definitely not one of the things that I think about that often.
So we got that coming down the pipeline, which you and I have discussed. Like, I really enjoyed Tyler in season 2 of Supergirl. I really, really did. I feel like something was off, and his Elseworld performance. And one of the scenes I liked him the most in was cut from the show. It's a great scene between him and Oliver. So, I don't know. He fell off in Elseworlds. But, all right. So, the next big announcement is HBO Max is going to be producing a live-action Green Lantern series produced by Greg Berlanti.
Whoop, whoop.
What?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
This is like revenge for him because, he originally was produced and was part of the original Green Lantern film, but it kind of got taken away from him and everything, and it just, if you look at that film, how many hands are in the writing, the script, and everything, there was too much going on.
Yeah, I mean the movie wasn't terrible. I don't think it was the first story that needed to be told. And Ryan Reynolds is great, but I don't think he's Hal Jordan.
No,
I never did.
Me neither.
And and it's still Ryan Reynolds. He's still fun to watch in the show. And then we got Taika Waititi, and the special effects are amazing. I mean, the movie costs like $250 million to produce. It's not as terrible as people like to say, but it's also probably not the first story that needed to be told out the gate.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, lots of hands, producers, writers. things like that. And then like I have the extended Blu-ray edition.
Me too.
And like they repeat scenes. Like you're wasting time by showing the same thing over and over again a couple of times.
It's one of those things. I saw the
Like
theatrical cut once, and then I have the extended Blu-ray, and I watched it, and I remember thinking, okay, there was stuff here that's better.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you what it was now. But I'm really excited for where this can go. Like, we know Brian's, like, mega excited. Like, he might cry when this series premieres.
Yeah. He'll be like, I have to watch it again. I couldn't see through all the tears. I mean, I'm excited. I want to see where it goes. The Green Lantern Corps, I haven't read a whole lot of them, but, you know, I've seen a lot of it in cartoons, and they've been around in a lot of books, especially Justice League and stuff. And awesome characters and awesome concepts. I've seen both of the animated movies. First Flight was great. So
the Emerald Knights is good. It's just like an anthology movie.
Yeah.
So the TV series was great. So the animated cartoon TV series, that is. So yeah, I'm excited. You know, it's supposed to be on HBO Max, so it's going to have more of a budget. It's going to be big. We'll see. I mean, we could speculate all day on what it could or what we want it to be. But that's just an exciting announcement. And then the last tidbit of news, it's kind of, I guess, came out today. Jason Momoa has stated that he's watched with Zack Snyder the quote-unquote Snyder Cut of
Justice League.
Of Justice League.
Yeah. Well, you know, he had posted a while back that he watched the Snyder Cut, and that was when he posted the video as well of when he gave Snyder that brand new expensive camera and everything as a present. And he was singing his praises about watching the Snyder Cut at that point. And yeah, there's a new interview out saying that he watched the Snyder Cut, that it's way different than what was released in the theaters, and that the special effects are much closer to finished than what people speculate.
Bro, I'll watch it with just like crap special effects. I don't even care.
Yeah, unfinished, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as it's, you know, at least that
is there, and there's enough that I can tell what's going on instead of just a bunch of people in front of a green room talking.
Yeah, green screen and you know, little like markers and things like that. People holding poles with markers on them and crap. I mean, give us something like, even if the special effects were like the deleted scene that they gave us at the end of Endgame with that crappy looking Hulk and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's unfinished special effects, unfinished scene.
Which is
like,
embarrassing if you're Disney.
Yeah. Like they released that. Whatever, you know, they released it just to have the movie back out in theaters for another month. But, I would watch Justice League if you know, some of the scenes were like that. The Snyder Cut, if some of the scenes were like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would.
Yeah.
So,
I know that the Snyder Cut is better and has a lot more to offer than what they gave us.
But that is our news. And now we're going to jump back over to our Girl of Steel and continue and talk some more Supergirl.
Yes, Supergirl. Season 5, Episode 4, In Plain Sight.
And Super James, do you have a synopsis for this one?
Yes, I got something here. With the help of Nia, Kara discovers that William is an undercover reporter who suspects that Andrea is a criminal. excuse me. Jimmy and Kelly return to their hometown, which they find corrupted by the presence of a new prison. They meet a teenager named Simon, who James helps in his mother's case. Malefic takes control over Alex, but is saved by Kara and John. Brainy and Nia reconcile in their relationship, and James leaves National City to take over his hometown newspaper. It is revealed that Malefic was actually teleported into Lena's office instead of the Phantom Zone, as Lena forges an alliance with him.
Dum dum dum.
Lena, man,
Dude,
like
she is like going down the dark path, man. Like, this is like her descent to madness. Like, she's falling into the evil. Like, this is her like episode 3.
So, as smart as Lena is, okay, as smart as Lena is, and I mean, I understand that last season it was a lot. You know, she's had family betrayal, but there was family betrayal. There was friends betraying her, you know, Eve pulling a gun on her, and then she learns about the lie. So she had a lot built up on her plate. But man, is she holding a grudge for being lied to. Like, she's a Luthor for one. Kara is a Kryptonian. She's Supergirl. You know what I mean? Like, they don't just go around telling people their secret identities. Like, she just, all of this, the world is, I need to make the world a better place so people won't lie anymore, because my friend lied to me about being a friggin' alien from another planet who saves the world every year. Like,
and I mean, Kara's apology was very strong and heartfelt, and I mean,
it was probably the reveal. Her reveal in the first episode was probably the best scene so far this season. Like,
yes, and she's genuinely trying, you know, like with Lena, and I'm just like she even in the last episode she breaks into that federal facility and steals Lex's journals. Yeah, for Lena. And I feel in one way, okay, like we discussed, like James is leaving the series to go beat Jax and fight in the Mortal Kombat tournament.
Well, actually, what's interesting is in this episode, jumping to the end there, James says, "Call me Jimmy." He finally has identified who he is inside. He's no longer James, because he was trying to be James. He was trying to be somebody and stand out from what he used to be. So he went by James. Now he's like, "No, call me Jimmy."
I'm Jimmy.
And he's comfortable in who he is.
Exactly.
I'm Jimmy.
But he's gone, and he was the closest kind of thing that Kara and Lena had with Lena. Kind of like he was an extra thing that Kara had in the relationship scope of just Lena. So without him, I think it clouds more of Kara's judgment on Lena. Like he had a different read on her, you know, and now that's gone.
Right. So, pretty crazy how Lena's like, oh yeah, like this is so timely for her. She's studying these Q waves. She's got information from Lex's journals, and the knowledge of Malefic's inception powers, and the fact that these Q waves can be used to make people good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like Malefic's powers, the inception powers. She can use the Q waves to make people good. And like how timely that she is brought into the DEO because the psychic inhibitors shorted out when Malefic used his powers. He was more powerful than those inhibitors. and then, his phasing powers, he phased through the Phantom Zone projector beam, and he and he escaped.
Right. All very, very powerful things.
Yeah. How did Lena make it a teleporter and teleport him to her lab?
Because she's super smart and Braini's emotionally vulnerable. Because he can only
there you go
100% with Nia. He can't operate on anything less. So
yeah, you nailed it. Brainy wasn't paying attention to her.
So, she did make a good point though, when she said, "You've tried a lot of things, Brainy. Have you tried changing the variable, asking for help?" Which is sound advice. But this episode was cool because we got to see James at his home, and they kind of could almost do a whole spin-off series. Jimmy Olsen fights the giant corrupt prison that's taken over a town with his new best friend, house squatting man Simon.
Right. Abandoned and orphaned Simon, whose parents are in prison for 10 years for shoplifting.
That's like some Jean Valjean stuff right there. I do like the scene, though, where they go into the grocery store and the guy's like, he's stealing. She's like, it's not stealing if he hasn't left the store yet. And, she says, he's getting it from me, I'll pay for it. And they just cover, for him because, James has a good sense of character and about people, and he steps up, and, I'm glad, he, just to kind of, it's out. I forget that it's out that he's Guardian and he's other places, so back in his hometown, they're like, oh my God, it's Guardian. And, he buys the local paper because he's going to take down on corruption. And I like how he finds a loophole. He's like, she can stop me from reporting or writing for a paper, but she can't stop me from publishing one.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, he's like, stick it to Andrea Rojas.
Exactly. And Andrea is even crazy. She's a character that's just coming along. What is her game? What is her deal? Because she seems like she's about to snap or go off the deep end somewhere.
Yeah, well, we get in this episode that William is investigating her, and investigating her supposed criminal activity. The doctor who was killed in the last episode, at the beginning of the last episode, by the tattooed assassin. Mm-hmm. He was involved in something with Obsidian, and as well as who was it down in Mexico City in this? Elena something. Elena Torres.
I had to think for a minute.
She was basically on the chopping block to be killed next. I don't recall what her connection was, but she has, William has a board in kind of like this. It's kind of just like a squatting apartment, someplace he disappears to when he's trying to connect the dots. But other than that, it's not like it's his place to go. It's not like his home. There was no furniture or anything. There was a table and a board with pictures and paperwork and, yarn connecting the dots and things like that. But,
do you believe him?
Do I believe him?
Yeah.
He's doing something when it comes to that. And typically when it comes to the board and everything, he's investigating something.
Do you believe the story that he's there undercover and he's actually a good guy?
I'd like to see him be a good guy, him, doing what he needs to do. But, and his whole, it killed me to act like that, to you and this and that. Okay, man, you go on and be the male Lois Lane here, get your crush on. But,
get your crush on.
Yeah, that was a little, okay, man. I get, you don't want to be this guy that you're portraying so that people won't want to like get to know you.
But I don't know. I also feel like in some ways, like we were talking, like I said earlier, characters I feel like they're running out of like steam. I feel like in a lot of ways Dreamer has served her purpose. Like she's carried over, and I don't feel like she really, I don't know. I feel like she's there, and they're at that point where they're kind of struggling what to do with her.
They could be. I mean, she was helpful when it came to John and Malefic's history to this point.
Right.
But yeah, but like, what else is she going to do? What do they have planned?
Like, they kind of wrote that for her. Like, yes, we can do this. I'm sure they could have found another way, to do that, like with the machine that Malefic used.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, so we find out for sure that Jean is the one that erased Malefic from the memories of himself and his father. Basically, the Martian equivalent of murdering your brother. Which explains why... It's a perfect way of explaining why Malefic has never been brought up before.
Yeah. Like in the Martian culture, Jean definitely talks about like memory is, and it's been handed down, through Jean and his father. Memory is the most important thing. Their mind, the collective, is like the most important thing when it comes to Martians. So, for a Martian to be like killed, actually killed, the memory of the person still exists and they live on in the collective. But to be wiped from the collective like that is the greatest sin that they have.
Mm-hmm. So this episode ends with pretty much the departure of James. It's a big kind of James-centered episode in the way of just kind of moving him out of the narrative into his own story. And I guess Kelly's with him or not, We have a great part in this episode where, Jean is hiding his shame for what he did with Malefic, and he thinks that he's talking to Alex about and confessing everything, but really he's not. He's talking to Malefic incepting Alex, and it's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, that inception, doing what he did, he used the inception to get by, to get into the DEO, and then used it again to control Alex. And like, what was the thing that I forget during his infiltration and whatnot, but like he does exactly what they were concerned about. Like Alex is hard up, man, when it comes to this episode and Kelly being in danger.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like she is freaking out in this episode, man.
That's why I feel like they just make when she like falls for somebody, like they throw her completely in.
Yeah, she is hard. She is hard up in this episode when it comes to that. Like, if it wasn't for me, she wouldn't be in the crosshairs. She's in danger. We have this weapon that can kill green Martians, and I'm gonna get it ready. And they're like, well, he could incept somebody for anybody to use it on John, and which is exactly what happens. Although she kept firing on him, and he kept closing the gap. So I don't know. It doesn't seem incredibly effective.
I like to think that they tinkered with it, so it wasn't. I almost would have liked to have seen the weapon used on Sean, and we think that Sean was destroyed, so that Alex all of a sudden feels horrible. Like at the end of the episode, that they stop Malefic, but like Sean gets destroyed because of the weapon, but really he's fine. He got like sent to another plane of existence or something. And one of those where it's like, you should have listened, Alex. How could you have used that weapon? Now Jean is gone.
Right.
But
yeah,
I think that kind of wraps up this episode. I mean,
yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, we're all just kind of biting away for Crisis. I mean, we're all like, these stories are good, but just get to the Crisis, because that's what really matters.
Yeah.
And, there's no more Crisis mentioned on this episode yet, so.
No, we haven't heard anything about Crisis yet. So far, they've all been in good episodes. Nitpicks here or there. But I think that they've used their time efficiently so far. They haven't had all this stuff lingering forever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're not trying to build all this dramatic irony. You know what I mean? Like, it was the last episode where it was revealed that Jean erased Malefic, which is a horrible thing. Mm-hmm. And it was this episode, the next episode, that, his sins are revealed to the family, to the friends. In a prior season or two, like,
that would be 3 or 4.
They'd have been stretching that out 3 or 4 episodes. Jean, what's going on with you? Jean, what's going on with you? This and that.
And it's just a Martian headache.
Yeah, like with these crap reasons to just drag it out for no reason, just to fill up time. They definitely need to, especially with these long 22 episode seasons, mm-hmm. They need to have a couple of mini arcs involved, kind of, keep things moving, less filler, have things work, don't stretch things out,
Yes. Keep the pace up. Keep us invested.
Yeah. Because certainly last season they had some great episodes. They had a few of the best episodes of the series. But there were times when they really pushed, keeping people invested in the story.
Yep.
By too much filler and trying to stretch things out longer than they should have.
I totally.
And so far, we don't have that problem this season. So let's keep our fingers crossed. We've got Crisis coming up in December.
/ soft reboot.
Right.
But we will talk more about Crisis and everything as it becomes more evident. And just remember, dear listeners,
Look up in the sky.